F1. With the racing driving at 300 kilometers per hour, risking their lives for entertainment. But it wasn't always like that. Let's head through the history of Formula One. Before the official Formula One World Championship began, Grand Prix racing had been going on since the early 1900s, with races such as the French Grand Prix, Italian Grand Prix, cars often built by Alfa Romeo, Bugatti and Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes dominated, now Audi. World War II, you couldn't have motorsport, but after the war, the Federation Internazionale di Automobile, FIA, established a new set of regulations called Formula A, later renamed Formula One. The birth of the World Championship, 1950s. 1950, the first official Formula One race and the World Championship, first championship race was held, and the cars looked like this. Crazy, innit? And the inaugural race took place at Silverstone, on your screen now, and was run by Giuseppe Farina, shown now, and in an Alfa Romeo, shown to you now. And in the 50s, Alfa Romeo, Ferrari and Maserati dominated. And then due to cost concerns, the championship actually temporarily used Formula 2 regulations between 1952 and 53. And then between 51 to 54, 1957, Juan Manuel Fangio emerged as the sport's first ever GOAT, winning 5 world championships, a record that stood until 2003, when Schumacher won his 6th title. And then, for the final part of 1950, that I've got to say, technological innovations transitioned from the front engine to rear engine designs began in the late decade, pioneered by Cooper. 1960s, F1 was getting much faster. Here's a 1960s chassis on your screen now. Jim Clark became one of the era's greats, winning 2 championships, 63 and 65. Safety concerns started growing due to frequent fatal accidents. Minimal safety equipment and barriers made racing perilous. And in 1968, Jim Clark, we lost him in an F2 race. Sponsorship and professionalism began to rise. Teams shifted from private entrants to dedicated constructors. So that means they got sponsors really came in the 1960s. They didn't exist in 1950. The rise of aerodynamics and tech is what came in 1970. Colin Chapman pioneered aerodynamics, especially ground effect, which used car shape to generate downforce. Nick Lauda and James Hunt battled in the iconic 1976 season, dramatized in the film Rush, 15 plus, by the way. Corporate sponsorships, e.g. Marlboro, which is a cigarette company. Don't smoke, everyone. And John Player Special brought more money and visibility. Yeah, that's right. FIA safety reforms followed tragic deaths like Jochen Rindt in 1970, although, here's a fact for you. Jochen Rindt is the only deceased world champion. You may be thinking, what about Clark? What about Fangio? What about them? Well, he was the only one to win a title when he died while the season was still happening. Teams like Ferrari, McLaren, Lotus and Toro dominated the decade. Turbocharged era, 1980s. This is when the cars, this was probably one of the most iconic eras in F1. Turbo engines came because of Renault in 77, producing about 1,000 plus horsepower in qualifying trim. Ayrton Senna, Alain Prost, Nelson Piquet, Nigel Mansell and Alain Prost all had championship fights. Also Carlos Reutemann, Lauda, Prost. McLaren Honda dominated from 1988, winning 15 out of the 16 races with Senna and Prost, with the Marlboro sponsor as well. Anyone who had Marlboro dominated, but don't smoke. I've already said that. 1989 and 1990, fierce Senna-Prost rivalry peaked with controversial clashes at Suzuka. Senna's gonna go from the inside, and it's happened amazingly! This is amazing! FIA began to curb turbo dominance with fuel limits and bans. Turbos were outlawed after 1988. FIA is so boring. That is why they let the F1 reveal thing. That's why when the lady said FIA, everyone started booing. Fair play, though. Electronic and safety revolutions. 1990s, focus shifted to active suspension, traction control, and semi-automatic gearboxes. So they have the gear shifter things that you have in proper cars. I really don't know what they're called. I don't know why. Michael Schumacher rose with Benetton, making his debut in 1991 with Jordan at Spa, winning it, and Schumacher won in 94 and 95. And then the 1990. This is a really hard one to take. The 1994 San Marino Grand Prix. The Black Weekend. So tragic deaths of Ayrton Senna and Roman Ratzenberger, prompting the FIA to overhaul safety, cockpit sides, better crash tests and redesigned circuits. In the late 1990s, Ferrari re-emerged as a powerhouse under Jean Todt, one of the most iconic team principals ever, Ross Brawn, who made Brawn GP, and Michael Schumacher. They're now heading into the 2000s. 2000s then, Schumacher and Ferrari obviously dominating. Oh, hang on. Sorry, something's, hang on. Get down. No, I want to go on there, thank you. 5 consecutive titles for Schumacher, between 2000 and 2004. Schumacher broke the record, as I said, in 2003. Records for wins, poles, and points smashed. In 2005 and 2006, Renault's Fernando Alonso broke the streak with back-to-back titles. New manufacturers joined, such as Toyota, BMW, and Honda, believe it or not. Rules shifted to control costs, banning certain technologies, and introduced V8 engines like this. My throat's not great, I can't really do it right now. Hang on. Hang on a minute, hang on. That might have been too much V10. If it sounds horrible, sorry. Don't do headphone users. There you go. Kimi Raikkonen won the 2007 title for Ferrari with the tightest title between 3 drivers in history. 1 point separating Raikkonen, Hamilton and Alonso. Lewis Hamilton won his first title in 2008 with McLaren. Very controversial. Now then, we're heading in to the 2010s. Here we go. Hybridization from the modern power unit era, 2010s. Red Bull and Sebastian Vettel obviously dominating 2010 to 2013. We can skip that. Here we go. 2014 was the introduction of the 1.6 litre turbo hybrid engine. Here's the sound of it. Yeah, horrible really, but it has got better. Marking a new technological era. Mercedes dominated from 2014 to 2020. To be fair though, in my opinion, Ferrari should have won in 2017. They just bottled it. And by the way, don't know why I haven't said this actually, but we had a tragedy of Jules Bianchi in 2014 and he died in July the next year. I'm not going to show you a clip of the crash, obviously, but yeah. Nico Rosberg won in 2016 before retiring, and then teams focused on hybrid efficiency, energy recovery systems, ERS or KERS, and aerodynamics. Verstappen. No, I know it's Verstappen. And Red Bull era, 2020s to present. I'm not going to talk about 2021. 2022, new technical regulations introduced. Worst new regulations ever. Cars looked ugly. Ground effect returns, simplified aerodynamics, larger 18-inch wheels. And they said it was going to get more overtaking. Well, how about Red Bull winning 22 with the 23 races? Ridiculous. Red Bull and Verstappen have dominated since 2022 with record-breaking performances. Verstappen won 15 races in 2022 and 19 out of 22 races in 2023, blah, blah. Setting records for wins and points. Everyone has expanded globally. New circuits like stupid Miami, great Las Vegas, okay Qatar, and a surge in popularity via Drive to Survive on Netflix. Okay. Here we go then, into the F1 on today and beyond. Red Bull remains dominant. Well, not really. New power unit regulations 2026, attracting Audi and potentially, now it's going to happen, Andretti Cadillac. Everyone's audience is at its highest ever, combining tradition with technology, esports and global entertainment. Summary of F1 evolution then. Like the 1950s, you have front-engine cars, Fangio, Ferrari, Alfa Romeo dominating. 60s, rear-engine, early aerodynamics, Lotus and Clark really dominated that. 1970s, ground effect sponsorship, Lotus, Ferrari, Lauda. 1980s then. Sorry, not feeling great. Turbo engines, electronics, McLaren, Senna and Prost really dominated. 1990s then. Safety reforms, tech, boom. Williams and Schumacher. 2000s Ferrari era, Schumacher, Ferrari, obviously. 2010s hybrid era begins, Red Bull, Vettel, Mercedes, Hamilton. 2020s ground effect return, Red Bull and... So guys, that is the end of my history for F1. I hope you like it. I hope you like and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one where I do a Q&A. Find more about that later. Goodbye.